Deep within the Amazon, where the air was thick with humidity and the towering canopy of ancient trees blocked out every beam of sunlight, there lay a secret that had remained hidden for centuries. The jungle was a place of mystery, where myths and stories had been passed down from generation to generation among indigenous tribes, yet had never reached the ears of the modern world. For Dr. Tomás Rivera, an anthropologist who had spent his life studying ancient civilizations, the Amazon had always held a particular allure. It was a place of untold legends and uncharted territory, a living, breathing organism of the unknown. His current expedition, however, was different from anything he had done before. He had been contacted by a tribe rarely seen or heard from in decades, an invitation to explore something only whispered about in the darkest corners of the Amazon. The tribe's elders spoke of an ancient city, lost beneath the thick foliage of the jungle, built long before the Inca or the Maya. They called it Huaymaja, a place of gods and spirits. But more than that, they spoke of strange events, mysterious lights seen in the sky, and a deep hum that could be heard reverberating through the forest at night. And then, there were the disappearances, entire groups of explorers who had ventured too deep into the jungle, never to return. Tomás had heard similar stories before, but something about this felt different. The tribe's sincerity, their fear, and the unmistakable urgency in their voices convinced him that Huaymaja might be more than just a legend. As Tomás and his team trudged deeper into the jungle, the familiar sounds of the Amazon, a symphony of bird calls, insect chirps, and rustling leaves, began to fade. The air grew thicker, almost oppressive, and the dense jungle seemed to close in on them. Even the seasoned guides, men who had lived their entire lives in the rainforest, were nervous, casting wary glances at the trees as if expecting something to leap out at them. Days passed, and still, they found no trace of the ancient city. Tomás began to question whether they were chasing a myth after all, but just as hope began to dwindle, they came across something they couldn't explain. It started with the stones. Enormous, smooth, and perfectly carved, they were half buried in the earth, scattered across the forest floor like the ruins of some long-forgotten monument. But what caught Tomás' attention were the markings etched into the stones. They weren't like any glyphs or symbols he had seen before. They pulsed with an otherworldly energy, glowing faintly in the dim light filtering through the trees. "This is it," Tomás whispered, running his hand across the cold surface of one of the stones. "This must be the edge of Huaymaja." The team pressed on, following the trail of stones deeper into the forest. Soon, they began to see more signs, pillars covered in vines, half-submerged statues of strange, elongated figures, and at last, the ruins of what appeared to be a massive temple. It was unlike anything Tomás had ever seen, built from stones so smooth it seemed impossible for an ancient civilization to have crafted it without advanced tools. At the center of the temple stood a colossal doorway, carved with intricate designs that spiraled inward toward a dark, gaping entrance. The air around it was unnaturally cold, and the low hum the tribe had spoken of filled the air, vibrating through the stones beneath their feet. Tomás' heart raced as he approached the doorway. He could feel the energy pulsating from within, a power that felt both ancient and alive. He glanced back at his team, but their faces were pale, their eyes wide with fear. "We've come this far," Tomás said, his voice steady despite the unease gnawing at his insides. "We can't turn back now." They entered the temple, the darkness swallowing them whole as they ventured deeper into its bowels. The walls were covered in more of the strange symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light of their torches. The hum grew louder with each step, a low, resonant sound that seemed to burrow into their very bones. Suddenly, the tunnel opened up into a massive underground chamber. In the center stood a massive stone structure, a pyramid-like edifice that rose high into the ceiling of the cavern. At the top of the structure was a glowing orb, suspended in the air by an invisible force. The hum was now deafening, reverberating through the chamber with an almost hypnotic rhythm. This isn't just a city, Thomas muttered, staring up at the orb in awe. This is something else, something far older. The orb pulsed with a strange, ethereal light, casting long shadows across the walls. As Thomas and his team approached, they felt a powerful force emanating from it, pulling them closer. Without warning, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The hum grew louder, almost unbearable, as the orb's light intensified. Then, in an instant, a blinding flash engulfed the chamber, and everything went silent. When Thomas opened his eyes, he found himself standing in a place that defied all logic. The walls of the chamber were gone, replaced by a vast, otherworldly landscape. The sky above him was dark and swirling with colors he couldn't describe, and the ground beneath his feet shimmered like liquid metal. His team was nowhere to be seen. What is this place?" he whispered, his voice trembling. A figure appeared before him, its form shifting and ethereal, as if made from the same strange energy that filled the air. It was humanoid in shape but far taller and more slender than any human could ever be. Its eyes glowed with an intense light, and when it spoke, its voice echoed in Thomas' mind, not through his ears. "You have come far, Seeker," the figure said, its voice calm and powerful. "But you are not the first. Many have sought the secrets of Major, but few have been deemed worthy." Thomas stared in awe, struggling to find words. "Worthy? What is this place? Who are you?" "We are the Guardians," the figure replied. "Long before your kind walked the earth, we existed. Major is not merely a city, it is a gateway, a bridge between worlds, where those who are worthy may pass beyond the physical and into the realm of the eternal." Thomas' mind raced as he tried to comprehend what he was hearing. But why was this hidden for so long? The figure's eyes glowed brighter. "Your kind was not ready. The knowledge contained within Major is far beyond human understanding. To wield it requires more than curiosity. It requires enlightenment." Suddenly, Thomas felt a surge of energy coursing through his body. His vision blurred, and in an instant, he was back in the underground chamber, his team standing beside him, looking dazed and confused. "What just happened?" Carla asked, her voice shaking. Thomas didn't have an answer. But he knew, deep down, that they had stumbled upon something far greater than an ancient city. Major was a key to another world, a place where time and space had no meaning. And now, they had been touched by its power. As they left the chamber and made their way back through the jungle, Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that the Guardians were watching him, waiting. The hum was gone, but the energy remained, lingering in the air like a whisper. Major was no longer just a legend. It was real. And the world would never be the same again.